One.
What I've been wanting since they wreck.
No, I
Be my baby.
Duly noted.
Buy it, use it, break it, fix it, trash it, change it, melt, upgrade it, charge it, point it, zoom it, press it, snap it, work it, quick erase it, write it, cut it, paste it, save it, load it, check it, quick rewrite it, plug it, play it, burn it, rip it, drag it, drop it.
And welcome back to another episode of Duly Noted with your hosts, Dave the Ma3stro and Tim.
This is going to be episode number 5.
Aw, man.
Do you
the
have a
fifth.
Star Wars joke?
No, I was going to make some pun about drinking, but I shouldn't because, anyway, Beethoven's Fifth is pretty good, even though it probably wasn't vodka. Come on, that was really
a
funny.
fifth. Oh, okay. I'm like, what?
It's because he couldn't afford the half gallon.
Didn't he have a drinking problem?
Yes, he did.
I feel like he had a lot of
He
problems.
also okay, so one of my favorite things about Beethoven is he would count out his coffee beans meticulously every single morning and would grind them up. And it was some ridiculous number. I can't remember. The exact number was like 46 beans, which incidentally makes a just ridiculous amount of coffee. So, coffee goals.
My favorite Beethoven fact is he hit Prince Lichnowsky with a chair.
I wonder if he heard the rumors.
Rumor has it. Ooh. So what have you been listening to? Anything?
Actually, I've been listening to a lot of things, but I want to let you take the wheel first on the listening thing because I have a special treat for the audience this time.
That's ominous. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. I had a lot of stuff. There was new stuff in every chart this week.
Whoa.
Which is
Like,
unusual.
and classical?
I mean, yeah, but I didn't queue anything up because the classical stuff was nothing favorite.
Ah.
Nothing interesting. There was one called Classical Favorites, which if you're going to release a classical compilation album, please do a more specific album title. I still don't know if the one I listened to was even the right one. It
Wow.
was just called Classical Favorites.
Oh, so wow, that's not specific at all.
No, but moving on.
That's like naming an album some songs. So
but the problem was it was various artists, so I didn't even have an artist to go by.
I'm gonna go buy some songs by various artists. What?
Right?
What do you mean?
Regardless, so a fun one that I enjoyed, Tom Misch, he released his debut album, Geography. It charted on the jazz charts. I think it's more of a funk tune, but here, I'll go play. This is South of the River.
Yeah, I dig it. It's cool.
Another interesting one is the new 30 Seconds to Mars album,
Oh, yeah,
America.
That was a
Here we
fun album.
Yep, Walk on Water.
Times are changing. Do you believe that you can walk on water?
You know, if you forgot that the most recent Joker's in a band.
So yeah, this song is so funny to me because it came out, it was like the middle of summer last summer, right sort of in the heat of the 2016 election controversies that followed. And you know, it was immediately eclipsed by another song with the same name, Walk on Water, with Eminem and
The Eminem revival album.
Yeah, the
Beyonce.
Beyonce
Yep.
was featured on it, and honestly, I mean, I really like fun Eminem. I'm not super crazy about
this last album was not one of his better ones, and that's kind of
Yeah.
across the board.
Yeah, there were some strong elements to it, but you know, I just really missed the days, you know, the Slim Shady days, you know what I'm talking about?
Right.
So anyway, it was this really great maximalist quasi-rock song with some really interesting choir effects with 30 Seconds to Mars, and then sort of just a minimalist rap thing completely overtook it. And if you surfed
Right.
Walk on Water at the time, it would be buried in the
Yep.
Beyonce.
And it's interesting too
Beehive.
because this album was a bit more electronically focused and they're more alternative older stuff.
Yeah.
And another thing about this is their first one on Interscope because they left Virgin, so they moved from Virgin to Interscope for the record. But talking about more well-received and more popular albums, this one.
I don't wanna choose and I'm quick. Cut a nigga off, so don't get comfortable. Look, I don't dance
Good old
now,
Cardi
I make
B's debut
money
album,
move.
Invasion of Privacy, was released, debuted at #1 as everyone predicted it would.
What a shrewd businesswoman. She is brilliant.
She is a treat just to watch in interviews.
Well, aside from being, you know, just intensely entertaining and hilarious, she is a calculating intellect.
She is.
her choice to build up the Instagram following the way she did before unleashing this, artistic just maelstrom of just fiery Cardi B. I don't know. She's brilliant. She's brilliant.
I very much enjoyed the album. The one that I want to go a bit more in depth to is going to be one of the new dance and electronic albums that was released. Just
Ooh.
because those charts never update, which is weird because there was an article released a while ago saying that EDM artists are pretty much dominating the tour scene.
That's so strange.
But there's not as much in terms of the if you watch the Record Rundown shows, you always know that I comment on there's nothing new in EDM, and I always threaten that I'm gonna play some stupid remix of Sandstorm. I had one queued up for this week. If nothing charted, but I'll save it for later. This is
sorry.
so Alice in Wonderland. Who? Alice in Wonderland. She's an EDM artist, I believe, out of Australia. Don't quote me on that. But she released her album Awake. Here's the title track from it. And
that's dope.
The thing I like about Alice in Wonderland, she's a very good DJ and producer, but one, that was her singing, so she will sing on most of her tracks, and she is a trained cellist.
That's
and she
unusual in the
actually
scene.
recorded herself for the intro. The very first track on the album, called "Good Enough," opens with this very lush string hype up. I'll play you a little bit right here. This is so the cello line you're going to hear, she did play. And
I
it's
know
just
that it
this-
was probably an intentional effect, but that sounded so anemic and thin to me.
It
Just
did, because you
a
can
gaunt-sounding
hear that it's
cello.
not the traditional warm sound of the cello.
Right.
It is it's a bit thinned out. I think
Yeah.
probably to stand out from the rest of everything that's going
'Cause,
on.
I mean, electronica just as a idiom is just such a full spectrum kind of sound.
It is, and EDM artists have to be careful with that too, because it becomes very full, which is why they use sidechain compression for their kicks.
Just getting everything out of the way for that kick to punch through.
Yep. There's your audio word for the day. Sidechain.
Sidechain.
Side-
It's sidechain. It's where you sidechain. It's how you sidechain.
It's where you put stuff into stuff, and stuff happens.
Well, if you actually are looking for the most technically sort of effective definition, it's where you target a audio source to get out of the way of another audio source. You can use your busing for that. Anyway, if you have questions about that, feel free to reach out to us. We are literally both. Our main gig is teaching that stuff.
Yep.
So let us know.
Yep.
If
In
you
fact,
have
I
any questions.
just taught compression, I think, last week.
As did I. Digital Audio 3. What about you?
Digital Audio 1.
They say time, history repeats itself. I disagree. History doesn't, but it rhymes. It's my deep philosophical moment for the day. What else you got?
It's a shame we didn't do this on 420.
Whoa.
The other two, I got two. There are two rock albums that charted alongside the 30 Seconds to Mars. One was the Under Oath album.
Oh, yeah.
Erase Me.
That was fun.
A good old core. And then there was the Wonder Years with
Oh,
their
yes,
album.
yep.
That was On My Teeth by Under Oath. This is going to be Sister Cities by the Wonder Years from Sister Cities.
The Wonder Years.
Consistency. And it's a funny thing about those two albums, because I mentioned this on the show as well, in the Record Rundown, but both of those, in order to promote them, involved sending some nondescript thing to their fans. I believe it was Sister Cities sent a bunch of blank 7-inch vinyls,
Oh, that's super cool.
and you had to Shazam it to figure out what it was.
That's hilarious.
And Under Oath sent to a Reddit user just a blank CD that said "Erase Me," and I'm like,
hilarious.
I mean, that's cool, but I'm like, in this day and age, I'm like, that just seems dangerous.
It kind of does, doesn't it?
And I mentioned this on the show, but I'm just like, is this how we're promoting things now? Just sending random packages to people?
Hey, I mean, that will be a collector's item worth having in the future. I think there's something to it.
That is very true.
I mean, if you're thinking long term, if your band or your group or your act has staying power,
Mhm.
I mean, wouldn't it be cool to get, in the future to have bought or sold a blank CD sent to you from your band, your favorite band, you know.
Right. And other than that, there was the Elton John, specifically Revamp charted. I'm not gonna play it. We played it 2 episodes ago.
A couple episodes.
A couple
I'm
episodes ago.
thinking.
So that was fun. But so let's hear your special thing that you have for
All right,
us.
well, we'll get there in a second. I was checking on the new Parkway Drive. It's super fun. Check it, chickadee check it, the Chinese chicken. Have a drumstick and your brain starts ticking. I'm kidding. I just wanted to say stuff while it was getting ready to play. I'm going to go to the middle of the jam here. Wabam. And let's see if it's going to cooperate with the interwebs. Maybe I've been booted off again. Who knows? It's sometimes this happens, and I'm just going to keep talking. I just love that jam. It's not really the Parkway Drive I grew up with, but it's a welcome change.
Yeah, the Parkway Drive I grew up with was very poorly paved, and we would constantly tell them to patch the potholes. Never did.
We're talking about Parkway Drive, not the Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Okay, I'm sorry, friends.
52nd Street.
New Bullet for My Valentine. Over it. I've been listening to that. Doesn't really sound like Bullet to me. It's not like when I hear Bullet for My Valentine, I generally think of really like incredibly agile guitars, crazy fast lines. So to hear this sort of like groove metal, and the subject matter seems very 3 Days Grace. So I'm not terribly impressed with it. But the thing that I wanted to share with you today, here we are. This is not music that is currently protected, as it is a for fun YouTube video, but it is. We're going to listen to the whole thing. It is really worth it. It's called Fox in Socks. Yeah, it's worth it. It really is worth it.
Oh, God.
Except my interwebs apparently just failed. Let's see if I can quickly get it to re-sign me in.
You were just playing off
I was, and then it said go offline mode, so I'm just going to keep talking.
Mm.
Why don't you show them something else that you have while I'm getting this out here?
I do believe I just played about everything.
You played about everything. Why would you do that?
Because you kept asking me what I was listening to.
Oh.
But yeah.
Well, it looks like I'm not playing you for that. Playing that for you on this segment. It's not going to happen. So,
are we're gonna start off the next segment with that?
Actually, you know, that is indeed a good idea. So we're gonna get ready for a break here, and we're gonna get right into.
So when we come back, we get to hear a YouTube video.
That's right.
What's it called?
It's called Fox in Socks.
Great.
I'm really jazzed about it. All right, well, I almost had a Bill O'Reilly style freak out where I said we'll do it live, but we can't do it live because we can't.
We have it queued up, long story
But
short.
the interwebs are back.
And just in case they're not, we have a backup.
This is kind of like what we're listening to 1.5, if you will, the half sequel starring Pumbaa and Timon. I'm kidding. It's actually, this is called Fox and Socks. We're going to listen to the whole darn thing.
I hate this.
You hate this?
I hate this.
I love this. It's really well done.
Socks by Dr. Seuss.
There's a accompanying video where he goes through the book.
It's literally him with the book, unlike his phone cam.
Yeah.
Fox, socks, box, Knox. Knox in box.
This flow is disgusting.
Knox on Fox in socks in box. Socks on Knox and Knox in box. Fox in socks on box on Knox. Chicks with
This is so dope. How do you not think this is the dopest thing ever?
Because it's a Dr. Seuss book.
The original doctor.
I will admit it's not bad, but it's a Dr. Seuss book.
First I'll make a quick trick brick stack, then I'll make a quick trick block stack. You can make a quick trick chick stack. You can make a quick trick clock stack. And here's a new trick, Mr.
Watch the
Knox.
video.
Socks on chicks and chicks on
We'll
fox.
link this video in the description so you can watch along.
Maybe we'll put it in the lower third.
Now we come to ticks and tacks.
This is where the video is, right?
Let's just make a ton of work for our editor.
Please, sir, I don't
Can we get the green, like a green screen? Like of the thing, and we're just sitting there with the book.
This is so dope.
I mean, to be fair, this is done well, and I'm now curious about other books done in this, other Dr. Seuss books done in this matter.
It's hit or miss.
One fish, red fish.
All right, so the bit about the Battle Beatles is the best part, and it's coming up in a little bit.
Who sees who so? Whose new socks, sir? You see Sue so? Sue's new socks, sir? That's not easy, Mr. Fox.
Oh my God. Who's the guy that did this?
I have no idea. My roommate sent it to me a while ago. It was awesome.
I'm looking up who did this. Critta the ADDict.
That's a name.
An ad in addict is capitalized, and it's THA, CRITTA, THA, capital A, capital D, ICT. Critta the ADDict. Okay, you know what? If we're gonna play this whole thing, we're at least gonna plug his stuff.
Yeah.
Apparently, he has an album out. It's called Harassment by Electronic Communication. So I guess if you do enjoy this rap, go ahead and check that out.
Mr. Fox, sir, I won't do it. I can't say it, I won't chew it. Very well, sir, step this way. We'll find another game to play. Bim comes, Bim brings Ben broom, Ben brings Bim broom, Ben bends Bim's broom, Bim bends Ben's broom, Bim bends.
Okay, that's actually kind of
Isn't that
neat.
dope?
That's kind of neat.
The last bit is amazing.
Bim and Ben lead bands with brooms. Ben's band bangs and Bim's band booms. Pig band, boom band, big band, broom band. My poor mouth can't say that, no sir. My poor mouth is much too slow, sir. Well then bring your mouth this way. I'll find it something you can say.
How many takes did you think that took?
Oh, I have no, because this is all done in one take. He's reading the book as it's going with the beat.
I mean,
So,
yeah, but you could overdub that.
I guess, maybe, but man, many for me. I don't think I'd be able to do this like this.
Mr. Knox, now come now. You don't have to be so dumb now. Try to save this, Mr. Knox, please.
I can't believe we're playing this entire thing.
But this isn't the best part.
Wait, there's more?
These three trees trees made these trees freeze. That's what made these three free fleas sneeze. Stop it.
Here comes the
stop
Beatles.
it. That's enough,
Oh,
sir.
God.
I can't say such silly stuff, sir. Very well then, Mr. Knox, sir. Let's have a little talk about Tweedlebeetles. What do you know about Tweedlebeetles? Well, when Tweedlebeetles fight, it's called a Tweedlebeetle battle. And when they battle in a puddle, it's a Tweedlebeetle puddle battle. And when Tweedlebeetles battle with paddles in the puddle, they call it a Tweedlebeetle
Getting back on rhythm.
battle. And when Beetles battle Beetles in a puddle paddle battle, and the Beetle battle puddle is a puddle in a puddle.
And
Beetle bottle puddle paddle battle battle. And when Beetles fight these battles in a bottle with the paddles and the bottles on a poodle and the poodle's eating noodle, they call this a muddle puddle tweedle poodle beetle noodle bottle paddle battle. And now
Dear
wait
God.
a minute, Mr. Sox Fox. When the
You are
puddle's in a
just-
bottle with
I
a
just
Tweedle
love this
Beetle
so
battle,
much.
You are
the
just
paddle
jamming
in a
out to
puddle
this.
on a noodle eating poodle. This is what they call a tweedle beetle noodle toodle bottle paddle muddle duddle fuddled muddled fox and socks, sir.
He just leaves that poor son of a gun in the bottle. All right, that's it.
Dear God.
That's it. That was it. Okay, so
And
that
that's what
was
you've been listening to.
that is what I've been. No, I'm not kidding. I've listened to this several dozen times since I discovered it yesterday. It has occupied an hour of my life
How many views?
so
It has
far.
200. It has just shy of 250,000 views.
Yep, and you too can contribute to that.
We'll link it in the description.
And it's a worthy thing. You know, the beat is dope, and he's got a good flow, and his voice is really fun to listen to. But that's not the news.
But let's
that
get to the
ends.
news.
Well, bam. Here's a quick break. End of the break. All right, now we're doing the news. Go.
All right, so the BPI, the British Phonographic Industry, has released their annual yearbook, which basically details a lot of stuff about the UK music industry, and they have seen a rise, their largest rise since the
In after-school signatures on the yearbook because it's a yearbook.
in the industry
In the
since
industry.
the mid-1990s. A lot of that can be credited to a couple of notable artists, one such being
One kiss is all it takes. Falling in love with me. Possibilities. I look like all you need. One kiss is all it takes.
that was Dua Lipa's One Kiss. But probably most prominently would be this gentleman.
Looking so beautiful, I don't deserve this. Darling, you look perfect.
This isn't metal, is it?
That's right, Beyonce. No, that was Ed Sheeran with Beyonce, their version of Perfect Duet. But they have done a lot for it. But it's not just them. So out of the top 10 artist albums, 8 of them were from the UK.
Wow, that's.
Keep in mind
disproportionate.
that is for the UK. That's the UK charts. So for the UK, the 10 most out of the 10 most popular artists in the UK, 8 of them were actually British.
That's kind of refreshing.
Yeah, for them
Yeah.
because I mean they we have to pay them back for the British invasion back in the 60s.
Two-time winners.
Mhm.
Two-time winners.
Also, so they accordingly have an increased share in their own market, which is always good. UK artists still remain the top nationality for albums in the UK. And UK artists' share, given it's down in the US, is up in Canada, Germany, France, the Netherlands, and Australia.
Danger.
Danger.
Right. Danger.
Well, and this obviously will be linked in the description. A couple of other fun facts that were in that report. People mostly stream music on Friday.
That's weird. What? Nah, that's strange. That.
How do you figure?
Well, it seems to me that music, particularly streaming as an idiom, is so easy to use. It's not like going to the movies where you have to get a ticket, then you got to pay too much for snacks, and then you got to go there, and then you got to watch it. Streaming, I have this amazing supercomputer in my pocket, and I can put my headphones on while I'm driving and stream my music. Ha ha ha. So I'm wondering, what drives the trend for an increase on one day a week?
If I had to guess, it's because it's Friday, so everyone's about to go out to having a good time, and so before they go out, they want to, have a good, pre-game is what it was called in college.
I'm also wondering if businesses spike that number, because a lot of companies now use Spotify or Pandora or one of those other streaming services instead of a jukebox or a CD player.
That is true.
So I'm wondering
Actually,
if they just click it on.
That ties me into another fun fact that they reported.
Hmm.
Increase in sales for smart speakers.
Smart, as in like just Bluetooth speakers, or like
I believe when
the
they say
dot.
the smart speakers, they mean like the Alexa and the Google Home.
Be careful of when you say which one, because you're gonna trigger them when you say Alexa, buy lots of stuff on Amazon. Alexa,
And there
buy
goes
a
my
plastic
entire
tuba.
savings.
Alexa, buy a plastic tuba, please.
If you're listening to this over not headphones and we've just tipped off your Alexa, we apologize.
I don't. well,
Alexa,
I'm-
subscribe to Ma3stro Studios on YouTube.
Oh no! Don't do that. Subscribe, please.
The last fun fact is streaming has been predominantly male, but there is a rising and there's a sharp increase for women. I don't know how they get that information, but
I think maybe it's just. I think that subscriber numbers specifically drive those. So that, like, when you sign up, what kind of profile do you have? Like, if I signed up my Spotify connected to my Facebook, so then it would gain access to some of my basic information. I'm sure that's how they get that kind of stuff.
that is probably true. But yeah, so just a good thing to note that the UK industry is getting up there and they're giving us promising artists. Just to name like I know Adele is another big one.
Hello?
It's
I-
me.
Oh, no. Oh, the punchline was actually rolling in the deep.
After all these years, something to go over.
I didn't think that I would be with someone like you on a podcast like this.
I said Fired at the Rain.
You did Rumor Has It earlier anyway. Oh
Rumor
my gosh,
has
this is so meta. I'm sorry.
The booth apparently is so done with me right now. I'm just getting stared at.
Are they done with you, or are they pun with you? Oh no.
My girlfriend today is in the booth, and she is very is specifically very, very animatedly done with me.
That's fantastic.
And it's
so
times like these I'm glad we're in a soundproof room.
it's not locked though.
It's
not locked though.
Regardless, moving on to our next story.
So the next story on the docket for the day, there was an event that happened not long ago.
Yes, unfortunately, it was reported by his publicist that unfortunately, Avicii was found dead in, I believe it was Oman, at the age of 28.
That is exactly as old as
That
I
is
am.
very unfortunate. He had retired in music, I
So
believe,
sad.
2 years prior for health issues. He had both of his gallbladder and his pancreas removed, I believe, in 2014. No,
Yeah.
it's his appendix and gallbladder in 2014 due to. But it is believed that he had passed away somehow related to his to a pancreatitis, I believe. But again, not many details about it.
Yeah, very little reported so far.
They want to give the family some time.
It's so surprising because I was just sort of getting into his stuff. I'm a little late to the party with him because that song "Wake Me Up." I had just heard it on the radio a week or so ago, and I was like, this is really good stuff. That sort of folk influence, Americana inspired song was really wonderful, and it did everything for me that Mumford and Sons did when I first listened to it. It was a really interesting, beautiful piece of music. And then I woke up and read the headline yesterday.
Yep.
Which
So
is crazy.
Obviously, all of our hearts and feelings here on the Duly Noted podcast go out to Avicii's family and anyone affected by his death.
Yeah, sad stuff.
Unfortunately. Regardless, let's move on to a bit of a happier.
Yeah,
topic.
interesting, amazing topic. So, Kendrick Lamar, we talk about this name sometimes on this show.
Oh, sometimes.
Sometimes, because he's a
Sometimes.
prolific talent.
And that prolific talent has been recognized.
By an unbelievable organization, the Pulitzer.
Absolutely. Kendrick Lamar has won the 2018 Pulitzer for his album Damn.
Which is a really big surprise for a lot of reasons. First, the very first non-classical,
Or jazz.
non-jazz.
Non-jazz. I believe it's also the first studio album.
Is the first.
I do know in 2007, Ornette Coleman won with his album Sound Grammar. That was a live album, I believe. So I believe this is the first studio album as well.
Yes, and it's remarkable for a lot of reasons. It really sort of doubly highlights the kind of unique and versatile talent that this man is. Kendrick Lamar recently has had a great deal of success in film music.
Yes, he was the one who did the soundtrack to the Black Panther movie.
And assisted with the score, which is an
Yep.
unusual thing. That's sort of reserved for cats like Elton John, who have a lot of more classical, more pragmatic training.
Absolutely.
That
But
crosses over.
But I got a couple of stuff queued up just to give you a taste of the album in case you haven't listened to it. If you haven't, I highly recommend go listening to it. This is I got just the 3 singles from his album. This is Loyalty first up, which actually won the Grammy for Best Rap and Sung Performance. This was featuring Rihanna. So let's go ahead and give that a listen.
Loyalty. Tenfold, no switching sides.
Then we have Love, which I believe featured Zachary, I believe.
If I didn't ride blade on curve, would you still? If I'm in my mind and word, would you still? Keep it 100,
just
I'd
getting
rather
down
you
to
trust me than to.
And of course, last but certainly not least, the big one from the album, Humble.
Be humble, sit down. Be humble, sit down. Be humble.
There's some jamming. There's definitely a lot of jamming in the booth.
It's funny because it's called Humble, and the album won Grammys, the album won the Pulitzer. So apparently, it pays to be humble. But just a couple of things. We will link, obviously, the official listing from the Pulitzer's website in the description. But just a couple of quotes I pulled. This was by I don't have actually listed who. Regardless, one of the things from it. Oh, here we go. This was from Matthew Trammell at Pitchfork. Storytelling has been Lamar's greatest skill and most primary mission, to put into lots of words that it's like to grow up as he did, to articulate, in human terms, the intimate specifics of the daily self-defense from your surroundings. Somehow he's gotten better. Also, there was one from Andy Kellman at All Music Guide. Platinum-selling, Grammy-nominated rapper Kendrick Lamar is one of the rare artists who has achieved critical and commercial success while earning the respect and support of those who inspired him.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, and then there's the official quote from the Pulitzer Association itself. Recording released April 14th, 2017, a virtuosic song collection unified by its vernacular, authenticity, and rhythmic dynamism that offers affecting vignettes capturing the complexity of modern African-American life.
Heavy.
Yep. So I mean, they did not. This was not a decision made lightly. For those curious, the jury that decided this was violinist Regina Carter.
Which I have some quotes for her coming up.
Okay, lovely. The dramaturg and director of opera commissioning program at the Metropolitan Opera, Paul Cramo. The William B. Ransford Professor of English and Comparative Literature and African American Studies at Columbia University, Farah Jasmine Griffin. Professor of Journalism, also at Columbia University, David Hadju, and composer and previous Pulitzer Prize winner, David Lang.
Yes, indeed. So The Atlantic published a story recently of a interview with one Regina Carter. Now, she's a violinist, a Detroit native, and one of the questions I think was really remarkable was posed. The question is this. One concern I've heard since the award, including people who loved the decision, is that the Pulitzer helps bring attention to classical and jazz works that would not otherwise be commercially successful. That obviously is not a problem for Kendrick Lamar. Is there a danger that classical and jazz will lose an important forum? And she goes on to say that I can't see why they might think that, but I'm sure the people who were on the Pulitzers prior to Wynton Marsalis's success in 1997, the classical musicians, when that award, thought the same thing. Now, in the 60s, Duke Ellington was snubbed, and that was a big deal. That would have been a huge moment for jazz generally. So Wynton Marsalis getting the Pulitzer Prize in 97 was a big deal. And they go on to ask, why do they suppose he won the award? And it's interesting, they gauged him on the value of his lyrical content, not necessarily the production value. The wording is he's something of a librettist, which is an interesting word
Very
to
much
apply
so.
to someone in hip-hop.
They're not wrong.
Oh, I completely agree with you. They're not.
Traditionally, a librettist would be the one in classical opera composition, would be the one who would basically take the words and put them to rhythms and melodies.
Unless, of course, they pull direct from source material, in
Right.
which case it's just the novel set to music. But I think that's what an interesting look into the mind of a committee member to be able to set aside the ad-lib and to set aside the beat. And instead of thinking as something that you can poo-poo on because it's just bam 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 bam, that's not groundbreaking music. But to take the element that's interesting, the lyrics, and to look at it like a classical piece, that is profound, you know.
And that really comes across if you do. I made sure to re-listen to the album because I mentioned it a lot of my previous shows. I analyzed Humble on Pop Analysis. But if you go through and listen to the album front to back, it tells a story, and the other songs refer to the previous or forthcoming songs. And the last track especially ends with this big rewind, and you can hear the other songs while he's rewinding it, and the album ends the same way it started.
But it doesn't feel like a concept album where
No, it does not.
which
at all.
often, unless done really, really well, like Dream Theater does concept music well, it feels forced, feels sometimes lazy, oftentimes feels uninspired. So when I heard this album, I was just sort of surprised because this is not usually something I experience in hip hop, because hip hop as an idiom, it's either like an entire album is sort of just a collection of aesthetics, in my opinion, or it's one really excellent in a vacuum story. You know, each song is on its own as an island, if you will.
Right. And there are a lot of the classical artists, like you said, that were like maybe might feel threatened, but they actually did. I mean, just to give you, I don't think classical. The last three winners were all classical. 2015 was Anthracite Fields by Julia Wolf. 2016 was In a Penny, In for a Pound by Henry Threadgill. 2017 was Angel's Bone by Du Yun. And they actually did even interview the other two finalists and asked them what their opinions were. Just to give you a taste, the other two finalists won Michael Gilbertson with his string quartet just named Quartet. This is the first movement called Mother Chords. And then there was
That was like Persichetti had a baby with with like glass or something. That was awesome.
and
That's
then we
great.
have we had 10 hertz sound from the bench. This is the movement when you hear. And that was that's choir with essentially a rock band.
Yeah, that's
A lot of
interesting.
lot of guitar effects and
That's
drum hits.
interesting.
So you had a string quartet, which was pretty contemporary, and then the more contemporary one, which was a choir with a rock band.
Yeah, and then blown completely out of the
Right.
water. by
They were
this.
both interviewed. They didn't feel snubbed. They didn't feel like, oh, how dare a rap artist be with. In fact, they both seemed to be fans of Kendrick Lamar.
Well, that's refreshing.
So
You know, oftentimes you'll hear specifically cats in the classical genre get sometimes there's elitism. There's a
sometimes.
snobby streak amongst our colleagues in those fields.
And I have a lot of strong opinions about that.
There-
But we're
there are
not that
strong
but
opinions, but we'll save that for the final verdict, maybe.
No, it's just going to be me yelling at how upset they are. But for really quick, those of you who aren't familiar with the Pulitzer Prize, this is pulled directly from their website, for distinguished musical composition by an American that has had its first performance or recording in the United States during the year, and they are also awarded $15,000.
Yeah, that's interesting as just an interesting way to think about. Is there really a profit motive in seeking the Pulitzer Prize? Maybe if the only thing you do is write string quartets.
Right, but
Maybe.
$15,000 doesn't get you much these days.
Yeah, well, I mean, and some grants are as large or larger than that.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. But yeah, so great day for rap and hip hop, and just just popular music in general.
yeah,
But we'll be right back after this break to talk about some stuff that's going to be released.
it's time for a break. Huh? Well, that was a break,
And it was a break.
indeed.
So I do know last time I thought we had more tours, but then I checked, and then a lot of tours added shows, so we only have one tour.
Oh, the one tour
One tour.
to rule them all.
Not necessarily.
No, okay.
So we only have one tour ending. It's going to be Poppy's Poppy Computer Tour, promoting her album Poppy Computer.
You want to
Th-
say that whole thing again?
No, this
Please?
is her. This is Poppy's Poppy Computer Tour album promoting Pop. I don't know. Regardless, this is the song Bleach Blonde
Bleach what?
Baby. Can't talk.
Bleach what?
Bleach Blonde Baby from her album Poppy Computer. She has been touring since October 19th of last year. She is ending on the 27th of April in El Plaza Condesa, Mexico City, obviously in Mexico. And
I feel
she
like
did.
that's a language you can speak.
I did take Spanish for 13 years.
That's a lot of years.
Yep.
Most
yes,
people
it
take
is.
language for like 4 years tops.
My school was doing something where they wanted to start languages earlier, so I just kept with it. Regardless, she will end having done 40 shows.
Wow, that's a pretty significant number.
Yep. But that's
It's more than 39.
that's the only one. There was another tour about a nobody that we were going to talk about,
Who?
but that nobody added another show,
Ugh.
and he's going till July for the Fuji
Will it
for the
never
Fuji Rock
end?
Festival in Japan.
At what point does it stop being a tour and just be a show? Like, that's months from now.
Yeah, it is, and it's funny though too because they're not doing any shows between the last one and that other one.
Then
But it's still
why does it count?
But they're still calling it part of the never-ending tour.
Make it stop.
But it never ends.
Times are a-changing.
Blowing in the wind.
Kansas City.
Let's then move on to the albums.
Album time.
All right, once again, we are doing the super album rundown. To refresh the memory, I will announce the artist, the album, and the song from the album that I'm going to play, and you get one word to comment on it.
One word.
One
To
word.
rule them all.
So let's get...
Gosh, I hope I stayed in the frame when I did that.
Yeah, maybe. We're getting confirmation he was in the frame. It is good. So
I've
let's
been framed.
Let's start it. First off, Anne-Marie's Speak Your... Oh, wait. This is for the week of... Let me look at the date. The week of April 21st. So you hear something you like, get it this week. All right. First off, Anne Marie's Speak Your Mind. Heavy.
Thought that we had made a promise that we would never get this way.
That's fun.
It's fun. All right.
Fun.
Next up, The Beat Escape. Life is short. The answer's long. Seen is forgetting.
Atmospheric.
Atmospheric. Next up, Blossoms. Cool Like You. I can't stand it.
All in love with the least bit of attention. I need some
Seriously, though.
direction, affection.
Breakfast Club.
Absolutely.
Just sounds so 80s. Just freeze frame.
Chromeo. Head Over Heels. Bedroom Calling.
My love on fire, 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 fire.
That's groovin'. That's good stuff.
Groovin'. DMA's For Now. Dawning.
Funny, they don't sound like doctors.
Doctoral of Medical Arts.
That's good.
Next up, speaking of doctor, Dr. Dog. Critical Equation.
Oh, woof.
Listening in. Not what I was expecting.
Same. Lo-fi. Delightfully
Lo-fi.
so. Kind of like Sky's a Neighborhood. That's what it reminded me of.
I left this one on here just because I'm a sucker for this kind of thing. This is Foreigner. Their album Foreigner with the 21st Century Symphony Orchestra and Chorus.
Carry on.
Double Vision.
I'm amazed they never made it into the Rock and Roll.
I
Hall
actually
of
only
Fame.
heard brass in that. The band very much overpowers the orchestra.
Yep.
Next, Fourth Wanderers with their album Fourth
Wait. Did that rock you like a hurricane then?
You know, I tried to see if I could find one of those, but I just picked up taking Double
Oh.
Vision because it's the one they publicly released.
Oh, here I am.
Next up, Fourth Wanderers with their album Fourth Wanderers, Not For Me.
Fun. That drum part's super fun sounding. It's really good.
Next up, God is an Astronaut with the album Epitaph and the song Epitaph.
Doom me.
This next one,
I'm gonna sing the Doom song.
you doom 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 doom. This one you might know. Godsmack album When Legends Rise, the track Bulletproof.
Lame.
Really?
Yeah,
Not
I've been so
feeling it.
disappointed with Godsmack lately.
Fair enough.
When Legends Rise is okay, but man, that jam Bulletproof is just disappointing.
Next up, Grouper, Grid of Points, Parking Lot. Also not what I was expecting.
Same. Lovely. That was lovely.
It was
very
pretty.
It was very pretty music. Delicate.
Half Waif, Lavender,
Half what?
WAIF.
Huh.
Lavender, Keep It Out.
I'll keep you out, so you never see me unraveling.
That's fun. It's just fun music.
Janelle Monáe, Dirty Computer, Make Me Feel.
I get an impressionist. Monet. Anybody? No. Okay.
That's just the way you make me feel. That's just the way you make me feel. You know I love you, so please don't stop it. You got me right here in your jeans.
it just seems like they pulled from so many places. If the first impression of the jam sounded to me like "Look What You Made Me Do," which is also "I'm Too Sexy," and then that guitar part was like from Uptown Funk. Bam, 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 bam.
Boom, bam, boom, bam.
So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's
no,
just
I get you.
cobbled together,
Mhm.
but still delightful.
Keith Urban, Graffiti You, Female.
Oh, is that how that works?
Precisely what I thought it might sound like.
The Boots does not appreciate this song.
Well,
does that make you
I way prefer Keith Rural and the far less popular Keith
They don't approve of that
Suburban.
joke either.
Keith Suburban. No? What about Chevy Suburban? Chevy Tahoe.
You're not gonna get a
Trucks.
thumbs up.
I tried.
And I tried. And I tried. Next up, Kid Koala. This is from the Floor Kids original video game soundtrack. This is the 5-spot stomp.
It sounded like a mix-up of Jump Around and the Ninja Rap from the Ninja Turtles.
Full disclosure, so the way these get up here is I have to have a report from multiple sources that the album's being released to actually talk about it. I left that one on there despite only having one source because I'm a big Kid Koala fan.
That's hilarious.
Because he is a great turntablist. You can see him when he does like 4 turntables. It's ridiculous. Next up,
Tablalist.
the I can't even say the Okerville River in the Rainbow Rain.
And the Rainbow Rain.
Don't move back to L.A.
Don't you move back to L.A., says.
I'm gonna say a dirty rosary. I'm gonna tell
Interesting.
All right. Paul White's Rejuvenate, Spare Gold.
Ain't got shit to do. Sleeping well and I don't know. I dream and die in a flower garden, completely naked. With no
That's bizarre. That was really just bizarre music.
Next up, Pooh Bear, who is a producer. Pooh Bear presents birthday music.
Pooh Dare enters.
Pooh Bear presents birthday.
How many times can you say Pooh?
Will I see you? Will I see you?
I made
Will
a
I
poo.
see you?
I made a poo, baby.
trying to make it back to shore. Oh no. But when it's all said and done, will I
Unexpectedly good. I actually expected, Piglet to be living in the back.
If you're a fan of pop analysis, you might recognize this next song from Post Malone's Beer Bongs and Bentleys, Rockstar.
saying I'm with the band? Now she acting out of pocket, trying to grab up on my pants. On their bitches in my trailer, said I ain't.
That's good. That's good.
Check out the pop analysis video.
I mean, it's not as good as Pre-Malone, but whatever.
Speedy Ortiz, Twerp Verse, Lucky 88.
That's fun. That's good.
Twin Shadow, Care, Little Woman.
if my anger loves a gun. Loves a gun.
Gaunt. That is gaunt music.
Gaunt. We Are Scientists, Megaplex, One In, One Out.
Funny.
They don't sound like scientists.
Willie Nelson's Last Man Standing from Last Man Standing.
If there isn't Tim Allen in this, I'm going to be upset.
I don't want to be the last man standing. Oh, wait a minute, maybe I do. If you don't mind, I'll start a new line.
That's so
beside
conflicting. I don't want to be the last man standing, but maybe I do.
The next song I write needs to have an observation or a declaration, and I'll be like, no, wait, never mind. Maybe I don't want to be the last man playing tuba.
I mean, it
Or
was
maybe I
420
do.
yesterday.
That's ridiculous.
This last one is going to have an asterisk by it. I only saw one source reporting this, but it's a big deal if it is. So this may not be coming out this week, but I had one source, I believe it was NME that reported it. Wiz Khalifa's Rolling Papers 2. And this is the song Pull Up.
In the lost and found, started small, we bossing now, not a sound. She want smoke my dope, ayy, let her smoke my dope, ayy, fuck her in her ghost, yeah.
What?
That's the problem with picking a random 10 seconds.
Do what to her ghost? Is that what I heard?
I'm not playing it again.
I'm
So
curious,
that may or may
though.
not be coming out. I only had one source report it, so if it doesn't come out, it doesn't come out.
I guess that means that you're not the Wiz.
Cauliflower.
Queen Latifah.
And that's the albums. Those are the releases.
Yes. So that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Are you booting me off the air?
Yeah.
Is that what's happening
Take
here?
us out.
Oh, I'm taking us out? Oh, I guess I am.
We'll be back after the break. And we're back.
Are we?
We are.
We are.
We are.
This is a show.
Welcome to the ASMR segment where I just speak very softly. No. Okay.
This is our next popular segment, Jazz on Jazz.
You're listening to All Things Considered.
All things considered.
Vinyl.
Tim Martuch filling in for David Levy, filling in for Bill O'Reilly, filling in for Jason Bourne, filling in for John Williams.
This is why these sometimes go over an hour.
Sometimes they do.
Vinyl verdict. We were talking about the Pulitzer and then how, in my opinion, how deserving Kendrick Lamar was of it.
It wasn't a nobody, so.
So let's do the opposite. If you had to give the Pulitzer Prize for music to the most undeserving piece of music.
Piece of music.
So yes, we're not doing it. So a piece, so an album or a piece of music.
Okay.
Who would you give it to? Most undeserving.
Undeserving.
Most
undeserving.
undeserving.
What was the last thing I did? I'm kidding. Please don't. Please. Who did the score for Ma3stro, The Hands of Fate? That guy. Google it. It's probably the same guy that did everything else in Ma3stro, The Hands of Fate. Our on-set cameraman knows a lot about this film, actually. Who is it? Can you shout it for me?
I don't know his name, but I know he did everything.
What's his name? What's his name?
The person who did the music?
Who did the everything?
Harold P. Warren.
That guy, Harold P. Warren.
So the most undeserving for the score to Ma3stro, The Hands of Fate would be awarded to
Another guy.
Russ Huddleston and Robert Smith Jr.
Name. Russ Huddleston. All right, so are you familiar with Ma3stro, The Hands of Fate?
No.
All right. So Ma3stro, The Hands of Fate is a amazing film in which I was under I had some wrong facts about this for a while, but the Reader's Digest version is this. He wanted to make a movie and had really bad gear, and there wasn't an audio track because of his film equipment. There wasn't anything to sync, so all of the voices were dubbed in post, and it was one of those little wind-up guys, right, that you had like 60 seconds or whatever of film, 30 seconds of film, so it would be, all right, film for 30 seconds, and then you do 30 more seconds and edit together, and then 30 more seconds. The longest shot you can have is 30 seconds, which makes it kind of Michael Bay-ish, which makes it good. It's not.
I am Torgo. I take care of the place while the master is away.
But yeah, that's who I'd give it to. Your turn, Yugi boy.
Tekashi 6ix9ine's Day 69 mixtape.
Oh, I forgot that existed.
I am so upset for having to listen to that. Like, oh my god.
Why did you put that in my head?
He's a walking parody of SoundCloud rappers.
No, actually, he's the final boss.
He's the final boss of SoundCloud rappers.
No, I haven't beaten SoundCloud yet, but by the time I get to that final boss, I hope to be at a really high level. And I was thinking about befriending and adding a brony to my party just so that I have that same type advantage over him. But I don't know anybody. So if you know somebody who's a huge brony, I could use their magic in my party to defeat the final boss. I'm dead serious.
Honorable mention, the album Hooked by Vanilla Ice, which is the album that features Ice Ice Baby.
Oh, Under Pressure.
Yeah.
Uh-huh,
Under Pressure.
Yeah, it's a good song that he definitely didn't copy.
No, it's dun dun da da dun da da dun dun, not just dun 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 da da dun dun.
Okay.
Dun 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 da da dun dun.
Oh no.
If you find that interview on YouTube where he's explaining it, it's the most 90s thing in the world.
It's quintessentially just the worst.
You have any other honorable mentions?
Honorable mention. Definitely thinking, the flute player on the YouTube playing "My Heart Will Go On."
You mean the recorder player?
There was someone playing like a tin whistle.
Oh.
And it is the worst thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
That's my interpretation of that.
Or I'll be super
That
controversial.
performance is the winner for most undeserving of a Pulitzer.
We are both music professionals.
And not only that, but we also teach it.
Those poor sons of guns. They'll get you every time.
Okay, but so that means it's between the soundtrack to Manos, Hands of Fate, or Day 69 by 6ix9ine.
All right, so usually I would have you audition one or the other, but obviously I picked wrong. If I was a juror on this committee and I saw Day 69 on there, I'd be like, that's the one. That's the worst garbage I've ever heard.
Yep.
Straight trash.
I'm kind of doing the same thing with Kendrick Lamar. Like, they looked at his lyrical content, because some of the beats and even the features on that mixtape aren't bad. It's just anything 6ix9ine does is horrible. There's like a bunch of reverb on his vocals. He does the same gun shooting and gun cocking sound effects. He wants to be just a bad version of Lil Jon. And I think the lyrical content really supports my decision for most undeserving of a Pulitzer.
So I once, very recently, just saw, because they're actually not bad, all the Pitch Perfect movies. I usually am pretty jaded about music movies, but they're fun. They're really funny and fun. And the bit in the third installment where the Kendra lady, what's her name? Anna Kendrick?
Yes, Anna Kendrick
Lamar.
Anna Kendrick Lamar.
Be humble.
You know what? I would, if there was a person who was a matchup of Kendrick Lamar and Anna Kendrick, I'd actually be okay with that.
You've activated my polymerization card. Anyway,
shout
so
out to the Yu-Gi-Oh reference.
That's the second one today. Did you catch the first one? When I said it was your move, Yugi boy. Gosh. Anyway, so she is acting as a producer for this fictional rap character, and she brings in this really excellently produced jam, and it's got her singing on it, and he's like, I'm just not really feeling it. Listen to my version, and it was the most garbage I've ever heard in my entire life until I heard 6ix9ine.
It's just so bad.
It really is bad.
Which is a shame, because you think there's a producer who actually did not want to be credited on the mixtape because he did not want to be associated with 6ix9ine.
Oh no!
He eventually intended the beat to be done by Trippie Redd, but he gave it to 6ix9ine, and he was like, "I do not want to be associated with this."
Wow, that's
because 6ix9ine was in jail for things.
I was gonna say the convicted sex predator monster.
Oh yeah, just hitting on a 13-year-old.
Wow, that is
right?
horrible. That is horrible.
As I gesture to the booth.
As we gesture off camera. Right? Seriously though, it is the absolute worst. I mean,
it is horrible.
He is Rainbow Bright, had a baby with like,
and he has 6ix9ines tattooed all over him.
Like, do you think that cats like Tech9 get mad about the use of his divisive letter replacing?
Right, because the way you stylize Tech9,
numeral?
TECHN, the number 9,
Sha.
NE. Sha.
Sha. I love his jams. All right, so the final verdict, my friend, is
most undeserving of a Pulitzer Prize, Takeshi 6ix9ine's Mixtape Day 69.
My God, it's bad. And this time,
Talking about some much better music,
pissed
though.
off.
Today's indie plug, bit of a different taste. We're going classical.
Show me what you got.
We are going classical.
Like classical as in the time period or genre?
Oh, we're gonna get into that debate.
Well, we're getting
Genre.
Okay.
Technically, this would be a contemporary arrangement. A friend of mine, I also went to graduate school. She is from Long Island, New York, and went to Eastman Conservatory for her
I
undergrad.
love Eastman. Shout out to my Eastman friends, Dr. Hodgman and well, Sarah. I guess you didn't go to Eastman, but you're a huge Eastman fan too.
She studied graduate school alongside me at the Lungi School of Music for flute performance.
Very cool.
This is her arrangement of Imogen's Heap, Hide and Seek. And let me just pull up the personnel list so they can be credited as well. So in addition to one Stacey Chou, who is the one who did the arrangement, playing this is also Nicholas Southwick, Jordan Pearson, Maria Mandico, and Veronica Belevsky. This is a flute quintet arrangement.
Do we know where this performance is? I'm seeing video.
This performance is it took place at the Lungi School of Music in Cambridge,
very nice.
Massachusetts.
In Cambridge, Massachusetts, yes. Oh, that's lovely.
It is a nice.
Are these all undergrads?
No, these are all graduates. These are graduate students performing.
Very nice. This is lovely. So, tell me more about this person.
She's part of a flute quintet known as In Radiance. I will link that in the description.
Yeah.
That's where you can find her and all the stuff she does.
If I was in a flute quintet, I would want it to be called Five Flute Death Punch.
And the flutes and all of the fingers.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is just a very lovely, a bit different from what we normally do, but she's a very talented flute player and arranger.
No.
Mm-hmm.
This is very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
So, Spinning the Dials radio style, we have Jaylyn Johnson in the booth today.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Jay, and it just feels so serene listening to this. I
Right.
usually shout all of these credits.
It's very nice.
Yes, it kind of makes me want to speak into the middle space the whole time. That's lovely, yes. And then video professional videography is done by one Peter Putman. Peter Putman, you can check him out, Putman.
And until next time,
It
duly
is
noted.
Newly noted. This is the Tim Martuch
And Beta
filling
Black.
in